Bortolin.
Thank you. I don't even really know where to start. I'll start off by saying I will be supporting the motion very cautiously, and to be honest, definitely not enthusiastically. I think the motion is a cautious motion that brings us one step further, but without committing us to some of the issues that were put forward. Around these council conversations around this table, we had these conversations, and we've heard things. Oh, I wish we could have one. I would take one in my ward. I would, and it's as if the 10 of us were playing a board game, and we forget we actually represent about 20 to 25,000 people each in the community, and what they want and they need. And to Councillor Holt's point, we didn't ask them. This farce of a public consultation, and I'm being harsh on purpose, because any justification of this survey is sad. If this was polling, that would have been thrown out and you would have paid nothing for that. That was a set survey to guide people into a direction that we are already going and to support of a decision we already made. We didn't talk to the residents in the community. We don't talk to the residents in the community. We don't have a regular conversation with them. We go back to this historical context, and Councillor Geniak mentioned a lot of historical context and some of the bigger investments in our community. I am a little bit shocked that we're using those investments as examples of what we should have done, because I don't actually look back and think that those were all done in a way that we should be proud of. And I'll go back to it again. Where is the investment in Waterworld? That was part of that same motion, part of the same motion that we're back here today closing this pool again. After at least 3 times since my time on council, and at least twice before that. So 5 times since 2011, we've decided to keep this pool open, but the one motion kills the 5. So again, historic context matters when it's appropriate or it makes sense to use. Part of that deal was that the community centers were going to get repurposed. So after that, there was a discussion for Adie Knox to remain open. And it stayed open. And then it stayed open again and again. And the last time we asked for a feasibility study for a track, a gym, and whatever else. 3 things. Now we have a $42 million plan. And to Councillor Morrison's, these don't come around that often. Of course not. Because these are generational investments that once you commit to them, this isn't about, okay, everybody go, search your backyard for the piles of money. This is about taking away from all the other projects that we have in line across the community. It means other priorities get bumped down. It means other investments get bumped down in all of our wards across the community. That's how simple $42 million. And when we're talking about $42 million as an addition to repurpose the rest of the community center as opposed to building from scratch, this is more than some communities build as their number one community center for the entire city. So how we got here matters. This is a mess. This is a mess. I mean, half of us don't even know what the motion is. Half of us aren't even sure which way we're going on the vote. But again, this opportunity came up 2019, 2011, and we justify it. Overwhelmingly, people do not want to close this pool. It's only 2 kilometers to go downtown. I have 3 kids, all of which used Adie Knox. I learned how to swim at Adie Knox. My 3 kids would want to ride their bikes to swim lessons. In an area downtown with very little to no bike lanes and very little bike infrastructure in the core, do I want my kids riding that extra 2 kilometers? Everything sounds good when we're talking about sitting in the warmth of our car. And we've all talked about how this is going to be a city that we change our mode and we're going to shift into cycling and shift into transit. There's no transit stop at the university. Oh, but there will be. We've heard that before. We can make it happen. We've heard that before. And so nothing here is cut and dry. As much as Councillor Morrison wants to say that, we're punting it down the road, this just landed on us. I learned about this in an email hours before a media event as a member of council. So we didn't just learn. I mean, we're not punting it and prolonging this. We haven't even started. We haven't even asked the residents what they wanted. And so here we are again and again. And this time we may salvage it, we may not. And then it'll come up 3 years from now, 4 years from now. The next time the pool needs a capital investment, we're going to come back to want to close it. So in the meantime, we haven't looked at our system. We're not willing to take a good look in the mirror of some of the investments that have turned into white elephants. Adventure Bay is bleeding money by the hour. Enough money that would build us this community center if we had the gumption to look in the mirror and make the tough decisions. We don't, because we don't want to admit where decisions have failed us. We don't want to admit when previous council decisions didn't work out. But here we are. Here we are in a community where Adventure Bay sits empty. The numbers are anemic for what we wanted them to be. It's expensive, and we subsidize it. We actually subsidize tourists or other people from the suburban communities to come in and enjoy Adventure Bay. Meanwhile, everybody on the call today, the hundreds, if not thousands of people that signed a petition to keep Adie Knox open will have to move pools. And we make every excuse. It's only a kilometer. It's only this. It's only this. Because we never actually asked them. It's only that. It's only this. And yet, here we are pushing for this again. And I feel bad for the university because they're put in the middle of this. I actually think this is a great, fantastic amenity that we should be investing in. We should be giving them $3 to $4 million and keeping Adie Knox open. Another thing that hasn't come up in this conversation and that we rarely want to talk about is that this area of the city has needed overinvestment for decades. It has one of the highest child poverty rates in the country. And so when we're talking about the overinvestment, asking them what they want, including the pool, why don't we work with the university to increase aquatic services in the city? Why don't we give the capital investment to the university as a solid partner and actually introduce new people to that amenity? That wasn't an option. That wasn't an option that was presented to us. So here we are making convoluted decisions, mixed messaging that I'm willing to bet most in the media don't even have any idea what we're actually approving here today. For what? And we're going to do it all again. And then when it comes back and the grant either does or doesn't, we're going to have this conversation again. $42 million. $42 million is not chump change. We can make a generational improvement to Adie Knox. They deserve it. It has always deserved it. And it should start with leaving the pool and adding the gym, the track, and the community rooms. So I will support this motion, but it will be a very complicated discussion once we know what that grant proposal looks like. And so another question I'll have, and I'll be coming back to this, is where is the repurposing and the direction on Waterworld? Since we're so consistent in making sure that our motions of council actually follow through, and we historically want to follow through with this, where is the investment in Waterworld? As that community center has languished, and now the community is upset because we're using it for day use programs, completely making it unusable for anybody to go in there. We have made it a slow death. So I'll say this much. If you live in Ward 2 and Councillor Costante representing the area, this is why they don't trust city council. For the same reasons that the people and the kids at Glengarry walk by an empty community center after they went through a deep public consultation asking them exactly what they wanted in that community center. So if you wonder why there's distrust, you wonder why there's 4,000 signatures on a petition, and you wonder why there was all the delegates here today talking about their can of tuna, that's why. Because it's happened, and it's still happening today. I'll leave it at that.
Jason.